This is nuts, guys. This is nuts because what just happened in New York City didn't stay in New York City. No, this thing detonated across the entire country in like hours. In Washington, D.C., they're now scrambling, trying to contain the fallout. I'm not exaggerating. One mayor-elect just flipped a single policy on homelessness, and suddenly the entire federal housing system, they went into emergency lockdown mode. HUD froze a nationwide overhaul. Sanctuary cities doubled down. ICE is facing open revolt, and the political aftershocks, they're rippling coast to coast. Well, that escalated fast. Just days ago, New Yorkers were told that things would stabilize. Instead, the incoming mayor reversed the encampment rules overnight, bringing back tent cities, open air drug havens, and the exact same policies that helped collapse Los Angeles's MacArthur Park and turned it into this fentanyl wasteland. And guess what happened next, guys? Washington saw it. They panicked. President Trump's administration hits the brakes so hard on HUD and HUD reform that even DC insiders said, we've never seen a freeze this sudden. Well, meanwhile, as if what's going on in New York with Mayor-elect Mondami wasn't enough, in San Francisco, officials are trying to keep ICE off city property altogether, turning into this national federal versus sanctuary showdown, unlike anything we've seen since 2019. Well, today we're going to break down exactly why New York City's fast reversal triggered national alarm, who inside of this HUD pushed the panic button, and how these cities may have just sparked the biggest homelessness and immigration fight of 2025. Folks, stay locked in because this one moves real fast. Hit the like button. Thank you so much for subscribing and making sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Folks, here's where the explosion really begins, because tonight, or actually overnight, literally overnight, New York City's incoming mayor, he walked in and essentially torched the Adams era encampment enforcement. No gradual transition, no public hearings, no safety assessments, just a blunt force policy reversal that instantly unwinds the city back to the worst days of 2022. I'm talking about one signature, one press conference, and suddenly the sidewalks, subways, and overpasses are open territory again. Tents back, open air drug scenes, they're back. Zero enforcement unless it's catastrophic. You got it. Yeah, thanks, Mayor Mondami. And New Yorkers didn't even have time to blink. People just woke up, check the news, and realize, wait, we're doing this again? It's crazy. Now, this is why the whole country's watching, because this wasn't slow decline. This was political whiplash. This was basically a U-turn that was so sharp it nearly snapped Manhattan's spine. Well, let's just say that escalated fast. So now here's the part that nobody outside the political world fully understands. When New York City shifts, other major sanctuary cities, they almost always follow. Manhattan is the ideological runway. So what launches there pretty much takes off in Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago, Denver, even San Francisco within months. So when NYC suddenly announced we're bringing back encampments, federal agencies hit the alert button. This wasn't a local governance tweak. This was a signal, a political flare that was shot into the sky announcing that progressive urban policy is swinging back to its pre-crisis posture. HUD saw it, DHS saw it, DOJ saw it, even the Trump White House saw it. Because if NYC normalizes street encampments again, homelessness metrics nationwide shift, funding models get disrupted, and other cities, they get political power and cover up to follow suit. This isn't ideological anymore. This is a national impact, immediate and unavoidable. And if you want to understand why the critics are sounding the alarm, you only need to look at 2,400 miles west, straight to Los Angeles's MacArthur Park, because that park, it didn't collapse overnight. MacArthur Park collapsed the moment that leaders decided encampments were acceptable. Now, first came the tents, then came the open air fentanyl markets, then the overdoses, then cartel-driven drug corridors operating right out in the open. Families avoided it, businesses fled, police couldn't secure it in the city, one of the richest cities in America. They lost control of a public space to criminal networks that thrived under non-enforcement compassion. This is why people are saying New York is importing LA's worst mistake. So basically the same moral language, the same promises, the same housing first, enforcement last doctrine. And here's the chilling part. LA's leaders, they thought that they were the exception too, but they weren't. And New York won't be either. Now, I got an email from a viewer. She said her cancer specialist stopped accepting her Medicare plan. She didn't even find out until she showed up for her appointment. She told me it felt like the floor dropped out from under her. This is the terrifying part about Medicare. You don't often find the problems until it's too late. And that's why I partner with Chapter. They make sure that you never lose the specialists who keep you alive by reviewing your Medicare coverage early, before anything breaks, before anything switches, before anything disappears like this lady here. And so most people are already dialing dialing the phone number on your screen right there, 909-563-8279, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. There's a link down below you can quickly click on and reach them easily and quickly. And I do want to share this because it means a lot to me. So Jennifer Broadwater, she wrote to me, Ron, love Chapter. They were so nice to me. They got me a great plan that aren't on the TV. I will never call that number again, but I will call Chapter. Thank you again for recommending them. Jennifer, thank you so much. Stories like yours remind people that they're not alone and that the right help does exist. So the link for Chapter is down below. Hit that real quick. Now, just when the public thought it was a city issue, Washington slammed on the brakes so hard that the sound echoed across Capitol Hill. HUD, yes, the federal agency overseeing billions in homelessness spending, froze its national funding overhaul just days before a major court challenge. No leaks, no warning, no transition memo, a full stop. Why? Because NYC's reversal threw a wrench into the entire federal strategy. Homelessness metrics rely on local cooperation. Funding formulas depend on cities reducing encampments, not doubling them. And with Manhattan suddenly signaling encampments are back, HUD panicked. They feared distorted data, ballooning costs, and a political narrative spiraling out of control just as the Trump administration pushes nationwide reforms. This wasn't a policy freeze. This was a panic button, a signal that DC fears a wave of permissive cities will destabilize the entire homelessness landscape overnight. Now, we need to talk about why this sent shockwaves straight into the Oval Office. So under President Trump, homelessness isn't viewed as a local compassion issue. This is treated more of a national security, economic stability, and public health priority because the consequences, they don't stay inside city lines. When New York flipped its encampment policy overnight, Trump's advisors immediately recognized the danger. If one major sanctuary city reopens the floodgates, others will claim federal cover to do the same. And so this means higher federal spending, compromised data, deeper strain on shelters in urban areas, drifting right back toward the lawlessness of 2021 through 2023. DC cannot afford that. Not economically, not politically, and not in an election cycle where public safety is the #1 voter priority. So the Trump administration did what competent leadership does. It paused, reassessed, and prepared to intervene before a local policy turned into a national crisis. This is why the panic was real. And so while the HUD was slamming the brakes, another battlefront was exploding. ICE enforcement. Because right as NYC reopened the encampments, cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, they doubled down on defiance. Not quiet defiance, active resistance. They rolled out pamphlets teaching residents how to legally refuse ICE entry. They warned immigrants about fake warrants. They designated ICE no-go zones inside public facilities. And they told federal agents in no uncertain terms, you are not welcome here. This isn't symbolic anymore. This is open confrontation. ICE officials are reporting increased obstacles, delayed enforcement, and coordinated messaging campaigns telling migrants how to avoid detection. Sanctuary cities are escalating in sync, almost as if NYC's reversal gave them political permission to push harder. And this is where the real danger begins, because when local governments challenge federal authority directly, it doesn't just create tension, it creates a constitutional collision course. And so if you thought that the ICE defiance was bad, San Francisco said, hold my soy latte, and took it to a whole new level. So days after NYC flipped its homeless policy, SF supervisors, they pushed legislation to ban ICE from using any city property, including parking lots, offices, staging areas, and public buildings. In other words, ICE can't even stand on city-owned pavement, and that triggered immediate warnings from the DOJ and DHS. Washington told them flat out, this crosses the legal line. Cities don't get to obstruct federal enforcement, but San Francisco is daring the Trump administration to act, turning local politics into a constitutional showdown. Here's the real kicker. This isn't random. This is coordinated momentum. NYC reopens encampments. LA maintains sanctuary corridors. San Francisco blocks federal agents. 3 cities, 3 pressure points colliding at the exact same moment. This is no longer a policy debate. This is clearly a standoff. And so here's the part politicians never want to say out loud, but federal intelligence has been shouting it behind closed doors for years. Sanctuary loopholes create black markets where cartels, smugglers, and exploiters operate freely. When encampments multiply, when enforcement disappears, when ICE is pushed out, you don't get compassion. You get opportunity for the worst people imaginable. This is exactly what happened in MacArthur Park. Fentanyl dealers, they set up shop under the cover of non-enforcement. Trafficking networks used tents as staging areas. Exploiters recruited homeless migrants for illegal labor. And when police were told to stand down, criminals stood up and they took the whole freaking city. This is what critics fear in NYC right now. That open encampments plus sanctuary defiance equals a pipeline of criminal groups to move drugs, minors, and money without resistance. Not because officers don't care, but because the policy handcuffs them. This is why cities lose control. And now we get to the political fallout, because trust me, the ripple effect is massive. Democrats spent years defending these policies, insisting crime was exaggerated, insisting encampments were compassionate, insisting sanctuary laws made cities safer. But after 2024's political bloodbath, the tone changed. Suddenly, Democrat governors and mayors are quietly backing away, trying to distance themselves from very ideology that they pushed. And so they're terrified of being blamed for the chaos returning. Meanwhile, Trump's base is watching all of this unfold and they're saying exactly what you think. We told you so. And so they warned that permissive policies were going to lead to spiraling crime. They warned that encampments would become trafficking hubs. They warned that sanctuary cities would clash with federal law. Now, here we are, December 2025. Every one of those warnings is back on the national stage. Democrats are scrambling, Trump voters feel vindicated, and the middle is finally waking up. Now, here's the part that people don't see. It's the money. Homelessness funding in the United States isn't based on vibes, speeches, or political statements. It's based on numbers, street counts, encampment density, service utilization. And when those numbers rise in major cities like NYC, the entire federal funding formula shifts. Billions get redistributed, emergency grants get triggered, local budgets get crushed, and HUD knows it. So when New York announced the return of encampments, just as Los Angeles, Seattle, Denver, and San Francisco, they're digging in deeper. HUD officials panicked. If urban encampments surge simultaneously across multiple cities, the federal government is suddenly responsible for tens of billions more in housing obligations, shelter expansions, medical care, and public safety reimbursements. This is why the freeze happened. Not because HUD wanted time, but because HUD needed breathing room before a financial avalanche hit. This is the part that Washington fears the most. And so now the shockwave is spreading way beyond New York, LA, or even San Francisco. Police chiefs in Chicago, Portland, Philadelphia, and Denver, they're all warning privately that they could face a coast-to-coast resurgence of the exact conditions America fought to reverse between 2021 and 2023. Retail associations are preparing for another wave of smash and grabs. Transit officials, they're fearing ridership will collapse again if major systems become ground zero for homelessness and fentanyl overdoses. Public health directors they're already modeling the return of open air drug scenes and all the disease vectors that come with them. I mean, think about it. This is horrible. Business owners are terrified. Families are anxious. City workers are bracing for burnout. And everybody remembers how bad it got the last time permissive policies dominated urban America. This isn't paranoia. This isn't doom and gloom forecasting. This is institutional memory. Cities know what's coming if this trend spreads, and they're praying that it doesn't happen. So let me go ahead and bring it all home for you, okay? New York reopened encampments. Los Angeles remains a cautionary tale. San Francisco ended its war with ICE. HUD froze its biggest reform in years, and Washington, under President Trump, is now in emergency recalibration mode as multiple cities simultaneously sprint toward policies that already failed once. This is why everything escalated so fast, because ideology, unchecked, untested, and uncorrected, always outruns reality until reality slams back. And tonight, reality slammed pretty hard. What we're witnessing isn't just a local misstep. This is a national correction. This is a collision between political narratives and lived consequences. And if the past 5 years taught us anything, it's this. When policies ignore crime, ignore exploitation, ignore cartels, ignore federal law, ignore public safety, the crisis that follows never stays contained. America has already seen this movie. We know how it ends. And unless something changes real fast, we may be watching the sequel already begin.